Hello, welcome along to the latest edition of Breaker Throws here on Pluto TV. We're going to delve a little bit deeper into some of the players' actions and why some players have achieved some of the successes that they have had in their career. As you can see, we're in the resplendent surroundings of the MODUS Super Series commentary box, and we've got Laura Turner alongside. Now, we're going to have a look at some of the top female players in the game today, and we're going to have a look at Bo Greaves and Fallon Sherrock, two players that have had great success here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth over the 2.5 years that we've been here. Let's begin with Bo Greaves, somebody that has transcended the sport, 3-time world champion, first female player to win a week here. In fact, the first player to win a week at the Super Series without dropping a single match. And I suppose the story when it goes to her throw, a lot of people say that it's the best throw that perhaps there's been from a female player. Are you one that subscribes to that particular theory?
Yeah, and probably not just female players, actually. I think her whole action, the approach to the oche, everything she does, and it's the release and the follow through, everything. I think it's actually one of the best throws that I've seen that's out there.
And she's somebody that's really had to work hard on it. How much credit has to be given the fact that she's managed to find something that just is seemingly working so well for her?
Yeah, as a younger player, she was on everyone's radar. Mm-hmm. Obviously, she's spoken very openly. She struggled with dartitis and then had to kind of recapture that. Even when she had the dartitis, when she actually got to the point of releasing, it was still so beautiful and the follow through was still there. But obviously, like you say, had to work very hard to kind of get it back to exactly where it is. And wow, yeah, I don't think she's been looking back since she's kind of found that action again.
And once she's found that winning form, very much has been a winning form. Now, we're going to have a look at a couple of clips now and just kind of analyse a little bit more detail Beau's throw and some of the techniques here. So this was when she was playing in the main series in the game against Sebastian Białowski, and it's just such a fluency about it, isn't there?
There is, and it looks effortless. I know obviously there has been a lot of work that goes into that, but she's got that natural talent and she's just honed those skills. But as I say, she kind of brings it up, doesn't quite bring it up to eye level, just kind of a bit lower around the mouth, but lines it up, but absolutely no movement in the body. And like I say, that follow through at the end, the extension of the arm, it is just conducive to big power scoring, especially when she gets that first dart right.
And you just see that snap of the elbow, which you could tell when someone's in tune, you really do get that, don't you?
Yeah, completely. Honestly, like I say, if anyone is new to darts and wants to see an action that they might want to try and emulate, then I would always point them in the direction of someone like Bo Greaves, because as I say, it's a combination of that natural talent, but then she's just honed those skills and the execution is absolutely perfect. Too good sometimes as she finds the ball when she was looking for a 25.
And I can imagine in your case, probably too good on a lot of occasions.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you faced as well. And I suppose as well, when you've got an action like that and you're in those pressure moments, in those pressure environments, and we see it sometimes maybe with players with a bit more of a rigid action, that sometimes when push comes to shove and there's pressure on, you can feel them just tense up a little bit. But I suppose with the technique and the throw Beau's got, is when push comes to shove, and look, she's won 3 world championships, there's no quibble when it comes to the major moments. It's just everything just looks so fluent, regardless of the pressure, regardless of the circumstances.
Yeah, I guess everyone at the end of the day is human. She's going to feel that pressure, but I think what she must have is just, and what we all have is just that belief that the action and the throw that she's got, it's just not going to break down that easily. Even if she does feel that little bit of tension, she still gets that execution right when it comes to the follow through. You'll also see sometimes in the shoulder, it's slightly lower than others. When you get tense, it tightens up and goes higher. You very rarely see that from Beau.
Let's have a look at another clip. This was her winning the final on the Saturday night against Sebastian Białowski. And the other thing as well is, I suppose, her demeanour as well, like under pressure, that she's just so cool, so calm. I mean, that's such a big moment for her. She spoke about how big a moment it is. And we've spoken to other players that have won a week at the Super Series, and they basically say they get to these scenarios on a Saturday and their heart's pumping. They don't quite know what to do. But Beau takes a moment like that and just takes it in her stride.
Yeah, and I think when you start winning things and when she started getting back to winning ways and actually started feeling more comfortable on the oche, that's when you see her really push forward. I mean, if you look back to when she came to the Women's Series that very first time, she came kind of halfway through the season. season, and she won 12 consecutive events, I think, running up to Christmas, which then put her in a position to go straight into the World Championships. She was unbeaten, and I think, by winning, then again and again and again, that gives you that confidence. She looks very calm under pressure, and as I say, she's just got that throw to back it up, behind her every time. She's got absolutely everything working for her at the moment.
And I suppose it's the type of technique as well, because it is so fluent, which I suppose leads to longevity in the game as well.
Yeah, it's fluent, but she's also got this ability that if she needs to stop and work out what she's got to go left, by stopping, it doesn't tend to break that fluidity that you often see the faster players. It's not slow by any means, but it is methodical, it is measured, and she just takes her time. She's not pushed into, she's not pressurized into kind of rushing or going through everything. She knows how she throws. She's got good pace. She's got good rhythm. She's got the fluidity, as you mentioned, but also, for me, it's every single stage she's worked on, and it's all come together.
You mentioned it was a technique that you would recommend if you're a young player trying. Let's have a look at the side-on angle then of Bo Greaves' throw. This is a split screen between a couple of different throwing angles, and when you see kids in academies these days, there's so many players that are replicating that kind of throw, because that's, I suppose, the type of throw which, if you were to say, right, that is the key to success, that is how you throw a dart, it's pretty much that. It's textbook to a certain extent.
Yeah, and it's simple, it's straightforward. We get to see all these different types of throws, and I know they're very natural to people. Some people, will put their arm up in the air. Some people will kind of see, but if you think of someone like a Bobby George and he threw it on the other side of his face, these things will come naturally to people. However, there's very little when you break down Beau's throw that can actually go wrong with it. It's quite straightforward, and those type of throws, the natural ones, akin to maybe a Steve Beaton, they're the ones that seem to stand the test of time, and I can see the same for Beau.
As long as it's not against you on the hockey, right?
No, it's fine. It's inevitable. Ultimately, it's just great having her in the game, because what she's doing is pushing up the standards of everyone else around her, because if we don't keep up, then she's going to keep dominating.
Is that something you have seen? Because obviously you played the women's series right from the very inception. Have you seen the likes of what Beau's done, what Fallon's done over the last few years, pushing that standard? Obviously, Lisa involved in that as well. Have you seen the standard? We always knew the standard of the real top players was there, but have you seen, I suppose, almost that second tier play, just below the real top players, begin to improve, and that's kind of incrementally drifted down the system? Yeah,
100%. I think it's a combination of factors as well. One, you get used to them playing in that environment. Obviously, going to the PDC and it's quite quiet. That was different in itself. So you get used to that environment, and then all of a sudden you've got to keep up with everyone else. And you look at, say, the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen the likes of now Gemma Hayter coming back to the sport and picking up titles. Rhiannon O'Sullivan's picked up titles, Lorraine Winstanley, Kirsty Vinnakainen recently picked one up as well. So where Beau dominated for so long when she came back to the Women's Series, now you're starting to see a few other players alongside the likes of your Mikurus, your Lisas and your Fallons start picking up titles as well. And I just think it's a really healthy place for the sport to be in. And then it's, like I say, it's just pushing up the rest of the field.
And most certainly plenty more years, I'm sure. Bo Greaves dominating the game, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty more challenges to come. Right, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we'll be looking and dissecting the throw of the Queen of the Palace, Fallon Sherrock. Welcome back to the second part of Breaker Throws here on Pluto TV. Me and Laura Turner in the MODUS Super Series commentary box, looking at some of the actions of some of the star players that play here at the MODUS Super Series. Before the break, we're having a look at the action of Bo Greaves. We're now going to have a look at the Queen of the Palace, Fallon Sherrock. Now, she became the first ever female player to hit a televised 9-dart finish in this building back in August 2023. She'd do that in a game against Adam Lipscomb, a video which transcended the internet and transcended the game altogether. Before we break down the throw of Fallon, let's have a little chat with her. She spoke to Abigail Davis after she hit that 9-darter in 2023 about her experiences and kind of talking through it from her perspective.
Fallon Sherrock has just made even more history. The first female to hit a 9-darter on TV. Just sum up how you're feeling.
I'm really, I'm over the moon. I'm speechless. You know what I mean? I'm so happy with myself, because I was just sitting there thinking, oh, please, just the double 12 just go in. I don't think I've gripped that dart so hard in my life.
Yeah, let's watch that moment back. What was going through your mind when you stepped back to the hockey wanting that 1-4-1?
I was just thinking, just try and get the first treble, and then obviously I just kind of threw for the 19. I was like, right, just throw for the 12, don't think about it. And that was basically my thought on it. And then obviously when it went in, I was like, yes.
And of course, a few months ago, you became the first female to hit a 9-darter in a PDC event as well. How does it feel knowing that you're inspiring so many young girls and women and also helping to push the women's game forward?
No, the fact that I'm inspiring so many people to pick up the darts, that it's, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel so honoured, and I feel really happy with myself for doing it, because I never thought I'd be the one, inspiring all these people to do it. And, making the women's game better as it goes along, and having me as part of helping that, it's just I'm speechless about it, because I never thought I'd be the person doing it.
I think one of the takeaways from that interview as well is the composure of Fallon. This was such a big thing, such a big moment, and the reaction of it across social media at the time was absolutely incredible. It's the most viewed video on the Super Series YouTube channel. But she just takes it in her stride as if it was just another leg in another game.
Yeah, and it's a word that I've used for Fallon Sherrock for quite some time, from watching her there at the Ali Pali when she picked up those, inaugural wins for a female player as well. And it is composure. Her throw kind of doesn't break down because she's able to kind of keep everything kind of locked up inside. I think it's calm. She's just got, there is no better word than composure, to be honest. And what she actually then produces off the back of it when she is in those situations where she's going to smash through the glass ceiling, as we said before, or just those historical moments. She's able to just remain calm under pressure, whereas I think most of us, I get excited if I hit a 180. It doesn't matter if it comes at any point in the match. I think that's the key thing for her and her game.
Is that one of her best suits, is her temperament? Because I don't ever think there's ever been a time where we've ever had to question that one bit, because there's ice in the veins. She's so cool, calm and composed, and she's been put in some of the most pressurized positions in the game, and particularly because of the name that she's made for herself. But she's never ever let that affect her.
No, absolutely not. I agree. I think it is that key component to actually seeing the best from Fallon Sherrock. That, and obviously the confidence that she would have drawn from just achieve the amount of achievements that she has done. She has had a lot of firsts. She holds a lot of records. She has picked up those wins. So for me, the coolness, the calmness, the composure, that's just such a key element. But what I like about it as well, is she's really worked on it behind the scenes. She's practiced, she's put in the work, and she will come out and say if she doesn't have the best performance, she will then come out and say, right, I need to work on this element. And then when you see her the next time, she's got that confidence back, and then that confidence leads to that kind of level of composure.
When you look at her throw and you look at her action, you could show a clip of yesterday, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and it would all be pretty much the same, because that action has not changed from the second she burst onto the scene as a 21-year-old getting to the final of the Lakeside.
And that is a key thing, again, for anyone that is looking, why can I hit a 180 here and not actually replicate it here the next time? When you are practicing, you have to practice in the right way, and you have to have a throw that you can easily replicate over and over and over again. And you'll see it with Fallon. Her hand is in the same position. She has the same starting position. She has the same stance. She stands at pretty much the same position on the oki every time. She's very much kind of weighted on that front leg, but she's quite upright in how she throws as well. So those combination of things. So that is one of the key things that you have to try and remember when you are practicing, is that you want something that you can replicate over and over again.
Well, we're seeing the side-on-side from her hitting the 9-dart against Adam Lipscomb and another 9-dart attempt not too long before. And usually we'll look at these clips and we'll compare and contrast, but there's really no compare and contrast. You might as well have put a mirror image in there.
Absolutely. Apart from the outcome, obviously, on that 8th dart, and she wasn't far away from it either. That just comes down to being human at the end of the day. If we could just replicate and hit the 9-darter every single time, then you'd be winning absolutely everything, obviously. But yeah, I agree. I think if you put them side to side, there is very little difference in terms of pace, rhythm, the approach, the release. Everything seems to be very, very much on point to each time.
And she looks like she's got this, and obviously we mentioned there's not been any change, but she looks like she's got this to a T, like that muscle memory's there, that she knows exactly what she's doing, how she's going to pace up to the oki, how she's going to throw the darts, and then how she's going to retrieve, come back, and then just continue that repetitive cycle over and over.
Dart players, and I speak from my point of view, I guess, you can kind of get lost in your own mind. You hit a good score, you back it up with something that's not so good, and then you think, what did I do in the first one that made it so good and so bad? What did I do wrong in the second one? And before you know it, you're already like, you're at the back end of a leg and you've lost that leg because you're not concentrating on what is going on in front of you. So players like Beau and like Fallon, when they get up to that oche, they know exactly what they're doing, and they can replicate it. As I say, it's replication. It's doing it again and again. That comes down to practice, not just, practicing at home and that type of stuff, but actually match practice. That's when the pressure comes. So the more match practice you can actually get, even at at absolutely any level, then that is where you can start to feel that pressure, how you react under that pressure, and if your throw holds up to it. And what she's got is a throw that can hold up to it.
And I suppose as well, we've commented on many dart players, and I think one thing that a lot will say they're found guilty of is spending a lot of time overthinking. Fallon is very good at decompartmentalizing things. If something goes right, yeah, that's great, but there's another tournament ahead. And again, if something doesn't go right and she's had a poor performance, she goes out early, we just park that at the door. We go again for the next one.
Yeah, and you have to be like that. We're playing so many more games than we used to play that ultimately, the draw might not always fall favourable, or you just will have an off day. As I say, you're a human being at the end of the day. So if you can just kind of draw a line under it. We say it here at MODUS, don't we? When someone has a disappointment of not qualifying through Group A, draw a line under it. You have to go again. If you've got the ability to do that, especially when you don't have overnight to think about it, if you can do it straight away, then that is conducive to actually those top performances and just being able to bounce back. And that's what Fallon does.
And with all those factors that we've mentioned, does that lead to her having this consistency where she's going to be in and around the highest level for a number of years to come?
I think we're seeing it already. Obviously, you go back to, I think it's 2019, which is, 6 years ago now, and we're still talking about the events at the Ali Pali. She's young. She's got a long career ahead of her, and absolutely, I think, she's another one that will just be in as long as she wants to. I think that's a big thing with all dart players. You have to want to keep doing it. But as long as she wants to, then I've got no reason to see that she wouldn't have a long and fruitful career in darts right at the top end.
Be interested to see. Laura, thank you very much. Thank you for watching the Breaker Throws here on Pluto TV, where we dissect and analyse players' throws, players' actions here at the MODUS Super Series.